Connie has been an important part of what the UCE community has meant and continues to mean to me. From our earliest conversations, I was quite pleased that she and I seemed to be very much on the same page concerning matters both spiritual and humane. I was amazed that well into my 60s, she convinced me to join the Boston-bound trip. The prospect terrified me a little, and then turned out to be one of my finest experiences related to UCE. I learned a lot about and from several of our splendid young people, like Troyer Wallace, who was one of the group along on the trip. In addition to Connie herself, the trip also brought me closer to a couple of my most enduring UCE chums, Dana Dean and Connie's husband, John. Another year, Connie got me to participate as a mentor in the Journeys program. This experience cemented my relationship with one of my all-time greatest young UCE friends, or young friends of anywhere, the spectacular Irene the Bean, a.k.a. Alex Besser-Gilbert. I can't close without one more memory. 2 years ago, when Connie was working with me to plan the memorial service for my beloved Russell, I said I knew that his relationship with me was human, so it was not perfect. Nevertheless, it had been the most important of my life. She responded by saying one of the kindest things anyone ever said to me when she said, maybe not perfect, but it was certainly perfect enough. Thanks so much for being you, Connie, and all you've meant to UCE. All the best wherever the remainder of your journey takes you and yours.
Loving can hurt. Loving can hurt sometimes.
And I just want to relay to you the very first time that I really got to know you. And it was our very first Thanksgiving here at UCE. Marty and I were feeling a little down because we really didn't have any place to go. Tacy and Graham were taking off for those other parents up in Minnesota. So we thought, okay, we'll come to the church. And we came to the church, and you made the turkey and the ham. And it was just such a wonderful experience for us. But that's not the point. The point is that at the end of the meal, a homeless person came up to the window and put their face, and it was a little startling. And you just got up very calmly and went to the door and invited that person in and had them sit down, and you prepared a plate of food for them, and the homeless person ate, and you explained to them that you were going to give them a bag lunch for them to have later that night and maybe for lunch the next day. And I was so amazed by your calmness, your peacefulness, and just the love that you had and the gentleness that you shared with that person. I mean, it just blew me away. And ever since then, I've never necessarily said this to you, but I have always felt such a connection, even though it didn't involve me personally, but the way that you handled that situation was it was so wonderful. And I just want to share that with you and with the congregation, that we had made a commitment to come to UCE, but that sealed the deal for us. When I saw the type of person, which relates to also being the minister, but the type of person and love and care that you have, it made the day for us.
But it's the only thing that
Back in March of 2015, my husband Frank and I were traveling in Phoenix, Arizona, when suddenly and unexpectedly, one evening, he had a stroke, a very severe stroke that would leave him unable to speak, swallow, or talk ever again. The doctors informed me he wouldn't have much time to live. This is the last thing you expect to hear when on vacation. To say this was surreal is just the beginning. I had decisions to make. I had to deal with where he would be going to hospice after that, what was to come, and I was very alone. What could I do? First thing I did was call my church. And Connie happened to be in the office, so I filled Connie in on what was going on. She let me know that she was traveling to Phoenix the very next day to be with her son for his wedding, which was taking place in 2 days in Mesa. I don't recall Connie saying she was planning to visit. However, the very next day, as I stood by Frank's bedside, very worried about him and what was to come, I looked to my side, and there was Reverend Connie Grant standing in the doorway, just observing what was happening in front of her. To me, it felt like an angel just came down from heaven, and there she was. Connie was very comforting, and I felt less alone. She did a blessing over Frank before she left. We stayed in touch. She truly was my angel in my time of need. 2 days later, Frank died. When I returned home, I contacted Connie to make memorial arrangements. And I can't thank you enough, Connie, for being there at my darkest moment when I needed comforting more than ever before in my life. I want you to know I love you for that, and I will never forget you. And what a wonderful person you are. I hope you go on and bring happiness to people the rest of your life. Thank you, Connie.
When it gets hard, you know it can get hard sometimes.
Hi, this is Ann Gadzikowski, and I'd like to say a few words about Connie. I've worked with her on a bunch of different projects in religious education over the years, and I'm going to miss her a lot. I think what I've learned the most from Connie has to do with how to create a welcoming classroom. And as a professional educator, I come to my volunteer work with a lot of ideas about classroom management and how to establish routines, predictable routines, and set up structures where things are going to work well. And what I learned from Connie is the way you create a welcoming classroom is by welcoming the children. It's as simple as that. So I learned from Connie to come into the classroom without the expectation that children are going to behave a certain way or they're going to follow certain rules, that everybody is welcome and everybody belongs here. So I really appreciate learning that from Connie. Thank you so much.
Time's forever frozen still, so you can keep me inside.
There's many things that I've loved about working with Connie over the last 9 years and about her ministry. How calm she is, how well she knows our families, how she works with the kids, her really great ideas, how well she writes, just a lot of things I admire. But there's one thing in particular that I think will always stick with me, and it's her philosophy about religious education. And many, many times she's used the quote from the 19th century Unitarian minister William Ellery Channing that I've learned to love, which is, well, it starts as, "The great end in religious instruction is not to stamp our minds upon the young, but to stir up their own. Not to make them see with our eyes, but to look inquiringly and steadily with their own. Not to give them a definite amount of knowledge, but to inspire a fervent love of the truth." And it goes on from there, but Connie has really tried to get all of us teachers to live that philosophy, and it's just embodied in how she approaches the curriculum, the teachers, the classes, and the atmosphere that we set, and I've loved it. And so I keep teaching every year, even though my kids are now long out of RE. So thank you, Connie.
Holding me closer till our eyes meet. You won't ever be alone.
Hi, Reverend Connie.
Sorry, these aren't our good sides.
We don't know what happened to them. We just wanted to say that we're going to miss you and we love you so much. And you were a big part of why we joined UCE.
You were why we joined UC.
And we have something to show you.
Words to live by from our refrigerator.
Can you read it? Yep, still lives there today.
Okay, so when Sam was little, he was a spiritual seeker, and he kept saying, "Where's our church? Where's our church?" And the very day he attended an RE class
Taught by Betsy Godwin.
he said, "This is our church. This is our church." And so we started the process and looked into it, and I wasn't sure, and Reverend Connie, your words of wisdom were, consider it and do it anyway, and that is what we did. So thank you for making such an inspirational home for us at UCE, and we cherish you and we love you.
And we just wanted to let you know that we will always remember the wonderful wedding that you did for us.
Best wedding ever.
In your words and our words. And
I mean, we've been married since then, but I mean, that was the best one.
that was the best one. So we just will never forget you being a part of that and everything you did to make that special for us. Okay, well, we will always love you, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. Best of luck to you.
And Sam has a message from nearby.
I love you, Connie!
Teenagers.
Bye.
Bye.
Come home. Loving can heal.
Thanks, Connie. Thank you for helping us plan Con and
Loving
being a
can
great
never
religious education minister.
Connie Grant, CAF.
Good.
That was nice.
That worked.
I swear it will get easier. Remember that with every piece of you. And it's the only thing we take with us when we die.